What's going on, guys? So today I want to talk about something that really struck me from a conversation with a mentor recently. So it was about digital nomads. And if you don't know, digital nomads are people who can work remotely. So that means that they'll work anywhere in their country, or if their job allows, they'll work anywhere in the world, right? And it's becoming increasingly popular due to the rise of remote work, right? And he actually said something really interesting to me because I've been a remote worker and digital nomad for a little while now. I never necessarily identified with the term, although it pretty closely relates. So what my mentor said, right? And this is a guy. Keep in mind, I have to give a preface here. So this guy is about 57, and he's pretty up on things, right? They're pretty updated and modern in terms of some of his ideologies, and that plus his wisdom so far, he hasn't told me, but it seems to be exiting a large Web3 company that's on the stock market, and basically I'm pretty sure he's a millionaire, and he keeps talking about his new ideas that are on the path to billionaire, right? So with that said, right, it's pretty interesting listening to him talk, right? Because he's a lot more open and flowing. He doesn't overthink. You can never hear him holding his words, but he's always very kind and confident. And it's funny because he's very no bullshit, right? No BS, but he is not abrasive, right? That's the word I was looking for. So he actually is very kind when he does, sort of help, provide value, or mentor you. Now, that being said, he said something to me that struck me, right? And it was basically about jobs, right? Because I had been working a job all my life up until now. And then we sit in a cafe around here, and he points out all the digital nomads, right? They're on the computer, their laptop all day in the cafe, the co-working space, etc., etc. Now, he's encouraging me to create something so I have my freedom, right? Like a business I want to start, some way to help people, right? So it's not working for, quote unquote, like a job again, right? And truthfully, up until now, I've been able to be very fortunate, right? My remote job allowed me to leave the U.S., and I started living in Latin America first. And I remember asking them early on, if they'd be open to me moving, across the world to Asia, things like that. And they were like, I'm not sure, this and that. It might not work with the time zone because it's a U.S. based company. I said, okay, that's fine. And after a while, I provided enough value within the company that they agreed to let me work, and we worked out the hours so that I could live in Asia and still do the job, right? Now, fast forward to today, right? Because in that situation, I had the location freedom and mostly the time freedom, right? So I'd opened that up a bit. Now, if I could have full freedom, right? You work the hours I want, you help people when the time aligns between both of us, right? Versus being locked into something, right? That's a very fortunate position to be in, and it brings up a really good point that struck me, right? And this is one I want to share with you all. Is before I was like, man, I would love to be able to work remotely. I would love to be able to work from another country. I would love to be able to have time freedom or location freedom. And eventually, those boxes started to be ticked off. And you climb up the ladder, and you take it for granted a little bit, right? And I'm just going to say this right now, I'm very grateful for everything so far. And I know there's more growth to come. I'm so grateful to be able to have been able to do this, because not everyone is able to do that, right? Like leave, go to another country, work. And so I'm very thankful for that. And so basically it puts me in a funny mindset at the moment, right? Because what my mentor was suggesting was, well, do you climb the ladder, and then do you step off the ladder once you're at digital nomad, right? And you could be a digital nomad running your own business, right? It's just part of it is, are you locked into a particular time zone? Are you okay with that? Or are you one of those CEOs or business owners that went in with that intention, and then they end up working 80 hours a week or whatever, and they own their business, but they don't own their time, right? And time is much more valuable, right? So all I'm trying to say is a question that I'm asking myself now, and wanting to start helping people so that I have this time freedom and can start providing value to others to live the lifestyle that they want. Because essentially what you need to do is create a lifestyle blueprint. Like, where do you actually want to live? What's the kind of body that you want to have? Are you okay being in a city, or do you need to be closer to the beach? What kind of dating life do you want? What kind of social life do you want? Actually being intentional about these things so you can get in that direction. Because if you're not intentional, it's just not going to happen, flat out, right? You're going to wander through your days. You feel like you're floating down a river when you don't have a paddle or a gas. You can't steer the boat, right? You're just floating, and you're at the mercy of life, so you're sort of windswept, right? I've been there before, and it comes back occasionally, right? But setting intentions for your life will really get you in this direction. So my question for myself, because this is something I'm working on right now, to create this freedom, and for you watching, is, are you ready to step off the ladder? Do you want to be the digital nomad, or in the position, if you want to be a digital nomad and you haven't left the country yet, you don't have a remote job or something, where are you okay with stepping off the ladder? Because sometimes you'll forget and be like, well, this is fine. It's good to come back and remind yourself, well, what is my vision? What was my vision? Maybe let me rethink it. What do I want it to be now? Right? Because sometimes that changes. And so all I'm really saying is, where do you want to be? Are you okay with that right now? Where you're at now? And just reevaluate every time. Are you okay with stepping off the ladder when you haven't reached the step of the ladder that you really want to? Question I'm asking myself. It's something that I'm working on, and question for you guys as well. Maybe drop it in the comments, or just think about it. Maybe journal it out. I'm finding lately that journaling is super helpful for me. So I know this video might have been a little bit long-winded, but I really hope that it helps you start getting in the direction you want to go. All right, you got this, man.